The Rock, Vin Diesel, massive dudes.
That is the peck pop of love.
But why don't elite soldiers, Navy SEALs look like them?
You think Mr. T and Sting and The Rock, you think those guys are real?
Well, let's take a look at Quora where someone's asked exactly that. Why don't elite soldiers and Navy SEALs have physiques like The Rock and Vin Diesel? So Ronald here says the military doesn't actually like that physique.
Shut up, bitch!
It's not great or advantageous to what you need to be doing. We literally have an Arnie in my shop.
I'm pregnant.
His name is Shane, and he was no shit bodybuilder. He won the Mr. Utah in bodybuilding competition in the early 2000s. Someone found the picture from the competition and photoshopped the sword from Conan into his hand.
Crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and hear the lamentation of their women.
We made a bazillion copies of it, plastered it on the, plastered the picture of him oiled up in his banana hammock with the sword all over the flight line. He struggled to pass the Air Force's fitness test every single time. Because he was so big, he couldn't run to save his life. Bodybuilders don't exactly go for cardio. His arms and legs were massive. It was a 20-minute ordeal for him to put his boots on, and it killed his BMI score. He couldn't bend down, cross his legs. The list goes on because of the massive amount of muscle that he had.
It's as satisfying to me as coming is.
He was strong, there's no doubt in that. But other than that, he had all the limitations you'd expect from a fat person.
I want my Larry. I don't want to see you.
Bodybuilding is an extremely unhealthy lifestyle. It's murder on the heart, joints and organs. Physiques like that are the opposite of what the military needs or wants. It's there to look good for judging in competitions. It looks cool in the movies, yes, but it's actually not that functional at all, and it's pretty piss poor for anything else. The military needs and wants people that can kill it in cardio arena. That's actually more conductive to the job. They'll take a tall, skinny guy or a normal looking guy that can run all day without getting tired over a bodybuilder that can lift a lot any day of the week. That's him centre right in the orange banana hammock. Yeah, he's absolutely wham. So the thing is, right, if you're a natural dude, not on steroids, and you're working out, lifting weights, that's only going to help you. Like if you go all out balls to the wall lifting, you're never going to look like this dude. And having too much muscles are never going to be a problem for you, because the only way you look like that is if you take steroids and loads of gear and do that for an extended period of time. And yes, this dude, you know, he's like he was saying in the post, he's got loads of muscle, but he gets out of breath so quickly because there's a lot of stuff there to deliver the blood to. You know, there's a lot of wear and tear on the body just to supply all the muscles with enough oxygen. There's still a lot of weight to carry around, so yes, that's why he gets out of breath so quickly. Yeah, if you're a natural dude, working out as hard as you can, you're never going to be this big, so I wouldn't see it as a concern, really. I would say it's only going to help you. Bryce Lebowski says, great question. Every time I met an elite military member, which was not often, but enough, I did a mental double take. None of them had the stereotypical Schwarzenegger-esque physique. Most of them, you could tell they were fit, but they were not outstandingly so as you might expect. One guy I ran a fitness test with was a force to be reckoned with. Totally normal looking dude. Could have fit in an office depot. But he got out the pull-up bar and he knocked out 20 dead hang pulls with ease, and then ran every inch of the 3 miles at a sprint and came in at a sub 18 minutes. Can't judge a book by its cover. But I do have a theory, a military theory. A huge part of the physical fitness test is mental. These guys don't just have a quit switch. When my body is cramped up, it tells me that's it. Theirs just ignores it. They push through the pain and exhaustion by not acknowledging it. It's just a theory. So that is actually where I think that all this training really helps. Like if you go to the gym, you get to a point where it hurts. When it hurts is when you're going to stimulate the most growth, the most progress, and you've got to learn to be one with the pain and push through the pain, and like step by step you're challenging your pain barrier, becoming stronger, becoming more resilient. And that's where I think training can really help you here. The training that they do in the military, completely another ball game to just being in the gym. So it teaches you to be one with the pain, accept the pain, embrace the pain. So Eric here says, as an army brat, I asked my dad the same question when I was younger. The first time I met a few Green Berets. Why didn't they look like Rambo, I asked. My dad, a drill sergeant at the time, explained that most combat units, especially the special forces, are combat fit, not contest fit. Don't get me wrong, growing up on military bases all my life, you do see Dwayne Johnson's physiques on occasion, especially if you worked out in the gyms or near post. But believe it or not, most of the people that I met that looked like action movie stars were not in frontline combat units, but usually rear or support roles. Rangers and special ops guys who looked like they stay in combat condition year round were more like well-fit lifeguards and long-distance runners than WWE wrestlers and movie action heroes. So this one's got 279 comments, so let's take a look. RC Lane says, what I noticed in the Marines was that the vast majority were average size. The same thing that I noticed in the Army, Navy and Air Force. The same thing with the Royal Marines I met, and the Canadian Princess Patricia's Light Canadian Infantry. When I was in Korea and Japan, their forces ran about the same, and that's average their population for the most part. Endurance for the long haul is the goal. Keith here says, I think it comes down to building stamina versus building sheer strength. While a massive bodybuilder can build stamina, it's physically more exertion to carry 250 pounds of muscle mass for extended periods of time than to carry 180 pounds of muscle. In Spec Ops, you may have to be prepared for a mission of unknown duration, more often than one that requires brute physical strength. So David Hayes here says, Dad was in the SAS when I was a kid. He certainly didn't look like Rambo, more like a middle distance running athlete. He'd often go to 50 to 80 kilometre runs on a Saturday morning to stretch his legs. That's quite a stretch. As a 9 and 10-year-old, I used to run the first few kilometres or so from the army camp we were based in with him. Then I'd run back home while he continued on. I know he loved running without carrying 80 pounds of kit on his back, and I think the quiet time by himself was therapeutic. We never spoke while we ran. We just ran together and he'd take me always a little further every time. That's cool, that's progressive overload. When I was tired, he'd show me mental tricks like, let's just run to the next marker, then the next, and the next. It's amazing how much less daunting running is to the next marker 20 times than it is running the whole 2 kilometres. And when it was time for me to return home, he'd just say, good work. This is where you turn back. See you at home, son, and then he'd carry on. He would walk in the house a few hours later and pat me on the back and ask me how the return leg went and have a shower before getting on with work in the garden, like he'd been for a jog around the block. Now he's long retired from the army and out of uniform looks like an average Joe, but most people work out pretty quickly that he's not average at all. There is a sense of certainty and a steel will about him that sets him apart from everyone but his peers. Mark says, totally agree. On the flight home from Afghanistan in 2010, the combat troops had baggy clothes and looked in need of a good feed. And the camp rats, aka Fobbits, Pogs and Remfs, looked like Johnny Bravo. Richard Bowser says, in my police academy class, we had a former SEAL. He was built like Dwayne Johnson, only on steroids. Is Dwayne Johnson on steroids? Leave that to someone else to decide. He unofficially taught a water rescue class. He was so muscle-bound, he could not do a backstroke. Alex Cooper says, being that muscular, Johnson more so than Diesel, although Vin is pretty muscular for someone of his age, takes a lot of working out and a lot of food. Dwayne would have to steal all of his body's rations to eat enough calories to maintain that physique, and he'd need to be working out practically every day for a couple of hours. I'm sure many soldiers have enough downtime to work out, but not as much as Johnson needs. Also, they need rest. You need enough sleep to build and maintain muscle. I'm sure their superiors wouldn't be thrilled with all the lions. And let's not get into the additional supplements and their availability. Also, past a certain point, muscle is going to detract from endurance. Marching and running are going to be important for a soldier. Bench pressing isn't. Also, guns are a thing. Why does any soldier need to be excessively muscular? Size is correlated to some extent with strength, and strength is handy in an unarmed fight. But how common is unarmed combat? A small guy can shoot a gun just as well as a big guy, and a small guy who isn't worn out by a long trek will probably be more accurate. Being big just means that they're bigger targets for the enemy to shoot. Sean says, I used to swim over Little Creek Naval Base in Virginia Beach. My dad was a commanding SEAL Team 2 at the time. He got our swim team access to the pool. Year round they had this obstacle course hanging over the water. That looks really fun. It's cool because if you fail, you just drop into the pool. I spent hundreds of hours swimming in that pool. My knuckles would often hit those ropes when I was doing backstroke. You could get up there by swinging into the net from the platform diving board or climbing the little rope or any rope hanging over it. Look at him go, he's soaring. Wow, look at that. This was a hard course. I've tried swinging into the net above and failed. So that's what he's doing here. He's swinging into the net and looks really fun though. So to answer the question, why don't elite soldiers look like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Vin Diesel? Well, it's because it's not practical. If you like this video, please press that subscribe button and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.